Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hello and welcome to today's Battle Mech review. Today we're going to look at a weird one, not because it's all that weird, but because I always get confused by it. There's the Nightsky, the Starslayer, and the Nightstar. The Nightstar I know because it's a big one, and it's a very good one. The other two, I always get confused. Well, actually, I get confused with the Nightsky and the Nightstar as well. Just because when someone sends me a waybill and says, like, yeah, we're bringing in 3 Nightsky, I get a big repair BERT ready, and I'm like, oh no, it's the Nightsky, not the Nightstar. And then someone brings in a Starslayer, and I get stuff ready to maintain a Nightsky. It gets annoying, and it's 100% my fault in this case. It's just because I have a terrible memory, I guess. The Nightsky is in a very particular family of mechs designed by Team Banzai, and we're going to go over that as well just a little bit. So let's get into it. E-clans were actually quite surprised when they faced the Hatchet Man or two during the first wave of Operation Revival. While the concept of melee weapons had always really existed, it was refined and really redeveloped by Team Banzai for their Hatchet Man in 3022. Before that, you had a lot of melee weapon attachment available in the periphery and various underground arenas, ranging from clubs, swords, iron knuckles, hatchets, just a huge slab of a steel or a steel girder. Nothing civilized individual would be using, but they were quite popular amongst the lower rungs of the Mechwarrior worlds, just because sometimes you just need something to bash another mech's head in or a building down. Melee weapons work decently well, even though you do need to be pretty close for them to work, obviously. When you look at the Hatchet Man, you have to remember that it's one of those first-in-a-century kind of design. There wasn't much room for improvement during the Third Succession War. This one, though, had a decent set of advanced design ideas and concepts. It featured a full head ejection system, which is still not super popular nowadays because it's fairly expensive, but it helps the pilot survive all sorts of things, which is really good. It had a targeting computer that was really good against flying targets, which is odd on a mech featuring an hatchet, and the engine assembly is actually quite sturdy and easy to work on, which is nice for us guys in the yard. It wasn't super fast, but it was meant to fight in urban environment or other enclosed spaces where the hatchet can be brought to bear fairly easily. Don't listen to analysts or people doing upgrades on Hatchet Man. What you do is you take the original one, stick an LB10X in the shoulder, stick ferrofibrous in, and just up the armor a little bit. You can get a double heatsink kit if you want. It's not going to be essential on a Hatchet Man like that, but you can make very decent mid-range Hatchet Man doing that. Most of the modern models have XL engines, making them quite fragile, especially at the speed at which they run. The Axeman, the bigger brother, came out in 3048 after a time in prototyping and an odd side design with the Caesar, again from Team Banzai and built by Defiance. It's the same concept. You've got a nice engine bay to work in, a full head ejection system. Now the actuators are reinforced against infantry, so it's a fairly decent design. It just doesn't have the anti-air capability the other one has, for some reason. The hatchet is now big enough to take another mech's head in a single swing, which is always pretty scary. Design is still pretty slow, and it's mostly meant to be used in urban fighting and other close combat encounters. Most people will remember as well the one with the twin LRM-15s on the shoulder, just because of that TV show that came out about Adam Steiner. I think I actually like the one with LRM-15s better than the AC-20 base model, just because you can do bombardments, get close by, and then start smacking. It really depends on what you're going to be using your Axeman for, and it's a decent design overall. And finally, we've got the Nightsky, which came out in 3053, the third of the Banzai Defiance partnership design. At this time, they went with a 50-ton meant to bring in the pain at close range rather than letting the target get close and then giving it a swing. The engine assembly is still pretty nice to work on, but it's a Velar 300XL, which is a classic engine, but it gets a little bit risky. But it does give the machine a 98 kilometers per hour top speed. Your body is protected by 9.5 tons of standard alloy on a standard chassis, making maintenance somewhat simple and fairly cheap. You also have jump jets like the previous ones, giving you a full jump range of 180 meters. In the end, the Nightsky is basically what I would say is a decent melee combat mech. The other two, you add the ability to do melee on a mech that was a little bit of polyvalent. This one is really meant to get in close and get in the swings in with that hatchet, while also having decent weapons. It's not the best thing around, it's not the worst thing around. It has a funky look, but it works really well. There is an odd thing about the Nightsky. It exists in right-handed and left-handed setup. Basically, you can strip that hatchet off one arm and the pulse laser from the other and just swap them around. It's a matter of a couple hours of work as long as you've got the necessary crane and equipment. You do get that large beige hatchet on one side and the large pulse laser on the other, which, you know me, I don't really like, but in this case, since you are going to be getting close, it might work. Each side torso feature a medium pulse laser, and the head has a small pulse laser mounted on top. Small pulse lasers are good, even though you hear me rag on about pulse lasers, or inner sphere pulse lasers at least. The small pulse laser is probably one of the better anti-infantry weapon you can have on a mech, and it very effectively replaces machine guns, because at least the ammo won't blow in a laser. This one doesn't have the full head ejection system and comes with 11 integral double heat sinks, which is usually enough to keep you going. You will see over time that there's basically two branches on the Nightsky upgrade kits afterwards. One which we'll nickname the Technicals from Team Banzai, and the ones built directly by Defiance. The first technical is the NGS-4T, which replaces the large pulse laser with an ER large laser, giving you a more appropriate range on that big weapon. With the saved weight, because an ER large laser is lighter than a large pulse laser, you get an anti-missile system on one shoulder and a small laser on the other. I do prefer that particular design. Personally, you get that extra protection from the anti-missile, and the ER large laser gives you a better bite at longer range, which is something that can be quite useful. I do think that maybe you could have kept the large pulse laser and swapped the medium pulse for regular mediums and save as much weight, but that's what Team Banzai went with. On their side, Defiance also decided to create a new design, the NGS-5S, in 3056. This one is meant to be a little bit more heat efficient by adding 3 extra double heat sinks. To make room for that, what they take off is the jump jets, which is not a very good idea on a mech that's meant to get in close and smack people with an axe. Jump jets are really good in these situations, so you can bypass all sorts of things in between you and the opponent, like light woods, some kind of hilly terrain, and all sorts of other things. It is more heat efficient. It means that you'll be able to shoot that large pulse laser and those medium pulse lasers more often. But if you're shooting those things, you're also probably close enough to start hitting things with your hatchet. It's an odd design choice. Team Banzai was still hard at work with Defiance in 3057 and started releasing the new NGS-5T. This one is trying to bring more of a sniping potential to design, allowing to weather down your opponent before you start whacking them with your hatchet. The large pulse laser of the original is taken off and replaced with an ERPPC, which is generally a good upgrade. You're going to run a bit hot because, well, you've got 11 double heat sinks. Heat caps 22. Your ERPPC caps 15 when you shoot it through standard calculation. I mean, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It follows through what was done earlier with that ER large laser. I do think, though, I like the ER large laser upgrade better, however. The FedCom Civil War did cause Team Banzai and Defiance to have a bit of a falling out, but both sides kept working on upgrade kits for the Nightsky. Defiance was first to come out with the NGS-6S, which replaces the XL engine with a less fragile Light 300. This is a very good upgrade just for survivability of the design, but since you lose on the weight, basically, you have to refit the weapons altogether, and in this case, they went with a big array of ER medium lasers. 2 in the opposite arm to the hatchet, 2 in each side torso, and 1 in the head. Maybe I would have swapped some of those medium lasers for, well, standard medium lasers rather than ER, so you're a little bit more efficient, so you would have a better steady rate of fire, but this is going to be devastating at, well, an okay range. ER medium lasers are generally pretty decent. The NGS-6T from Team Banzai takes advantage of triple strength myomer, which was refined at that point, to make it a really nasty hatchet-wielding mech. Triple strength myomer on melee mechs is going to be really good, and on a 50-ton mech, you're going to basically have more or less the same kind of punch as an AC-20 once the triple strength myomer is active, which is really quite fun. You do keep the large pulse laser and the end-mounted small pulse laser and one of the torso-mounted medium pulse laser to help generate more heat in order to keep it also in that range bracket where the triple strength myomer activate. The other medium pulse laser is removed and replaced with an ER medium laser and a pair of ER small laser. This shows that Team Banzai kind of knows how triple strength myomer works, which is a good thing. Not every mech with triple strength myomer is well suited for it. Some of them only activates when someone else generates heat for you, by shooting a flame or a plasma rifle on you. This one you can easily manage what you need to do to get that triple strength myomer on, wield that hatchet and smack someone with it, then cool down a little bit, move out of the way. It's quite a nice setup. The Nightsky in its various forms remained in production with little change until Defiance decided to test some new clan-created equipment on an older platform. In 3152, they released the NGS-7S, which actually uses a clan-graded 300XL engine, meaning that it takes as much room as one of those light engines, but is about 25% lighter than a standard 300. The hatchet is now tied to an actuator enhancement system, making it even more accurate, which is quite nice, but it means that you can't as easily swap the equipment from one arm to the other. The shoulders now mount a clan-graded ER medium laser, which is a very good laser, and the large laser and the small laser are now X-Pulse, giving you extra range for extra heat, which is very nice overall. I don't think this is an entirely terrible design. Adding clan tech to things is usually a good way to upgrade things, but it does make it quite expensive. There's probably going to be upgrade kits of that later on with even more clan tech once it becomes available to Defiance, or there might be side grades removing the clan graded medium lasers in the shoulder for inner sphere graded ones to make it easier to maintain. We will see how it goes. I honestly have not seen that many Nightsky in my neck of the woods. That's probably the reason why I still confuse it with the Starslayer or the Nightstar. The Fedcom killed each other with them, and they rarely brought them to the periphery for a police action, let's say. Most of the Nightsky that I see that need upgrade or people want upgrades on, I will put ferrofibrous plates on. It fits perfectly well on it. You can put in an inner sphere graded one, and it'll probably put you about up to as much armor as you can have on a 50-ton chassis. Since there's an existing triple strength myomer kit out there, it's easy enough to take out the myomer and replace it with that particular kit. You just need to order it, and it's going to take you a couple months to get there, depending on if you're lucky or not. You can even do both, put the triple strength myomer and the ferrofibrous plates on, and it's going to work just as well. You are going to have enough room and spare location to be able to do that on most Nightskys. So there's quite a few different little upgrades you can do, as long as you've got the money for it. The Nightsky is probably one of the smarter design Team Banzai made with their axe-wielding mechs. It's fast enough to catch its prey, it's tough enough to stay in the fight, and it's got enough bite even at medium range to take out things. Dedicated melee mechs are still fairly rare, even with Clan Jade Falcon not caring as much about real warriors don't do fisticuffs kind of things. You're going to start seeing a few more floating around. There's the various Kuritan ones with swords. There's a few club-wielding ones that are a standard nowadays. You've got those Clan Jade Falcon Talon wielders. So the number is growing over time. However, the follow-up model to the Nightsky, which was the Berserker, took the concept to its logical conclusion with a 100-ton axe-wielding maniac. The one with triple strength Myomer gets extremely scary. So I thank you very much for listening to me for so long. I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.